G'day and welcome back to Stitch Up and another episode of Planet Coaster. So this is our episode 6 of our Thames Valley Studios series. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. We've had a little bit of a break, but we are back into things. Last episode we built this lovely coaster called Off the Rails, a wooden coaster, a monolithic wooden coaster, quite huge actually. And it was quite cool. But since then, in between episodes, as is my style, I have tweaked and changed and improved, I believe, somewhat. So what we've done is mainly, the main thing is now the coaster is around the same height. It's maybe a tiny bit. It's maybe 10 or so meters shorter, but it is a really, really big coaster. But again, it's up against the sound stages, so it can actually be quite big. But what I've done is I've orientated it so it doesn't come out over the water, over that kind of Isle of Dogs shape of water that we've got going. That big curve there you can see on screen. So what it does now is swings back over towards, I guess, the top right hand corner of the park. And it creates a little cove, and then what we've done is, so the coaster's quite big and it's quite massive, and you've got those really big supports that the game puts in there, and that's great. But what I've then done is created a huge, mountain, I guess, or hill, and basically, you know, the coaster actually isn't that big because it's kind of built into the hill. It looks like it's built over the shape of the hill, so using less wood to build it, it wouldn't be as costly. We're trying to go for some sort of realism here. We're going for a little bit of fantasy with a nice blend of realism. So yeah, anyway, I decided that was worth trying, and I'm very happy with how that looks. Let me know in the comments what you think, the improvement, if or not, of whether or not putting it on this hill or incorporating a hill into the construction of it. Now, what I'm doing here is just decorating with some lovely trees. I picked out maybe 5 or 6 of the Douglas fir and another type of tree. I can't remember what they were. Yeah, I'm putting a little camp set on top there and some other little, I guess kind of summer American woodland kind of theme going on there, just a little bit, nothing too heavy. So we get right into that. This episode we get into heaps actually. We actually do quite a bit. So I'm actually going to talk to you about how the park is going to progress a little bit as well, and share my thoughts, and I'd like your thoughts on how that's going. Please leave thoughts in the comments if you have any comments on how things are going there. Yeah, what we're basically doing is, you know, I want this park to be somewhat inspired, Thames Valley Studios of course, somewhat inspired by Britain, England, the United Kingdom, all of the above, but not a British theme park with all things British, because it just isn't what I want to do. So anyway, I am going to, although I do have some plans to do like a Union Jack kind of flower display, that'd be kind of cool, and that'd be great. But what I also plan on doing is really playing around with the height of the terrain, and having some real hills there as well, and basically sitting at, because it's Thames Valley and I really want it to be in a valley, so I like the idea of having, you know, at the moment the Isle of Dog shape is very flat. Now I do like the idea of bringing some height terrain up a little bit down somewhat below the water table maybe, and getting a few different kind of variations in the terrain height. I think that will help us to place our rides and give us some points of interest. Something we also decide to do here in this episode, and so we make some quite big changes here, scenery wise. So you can see in here I actually go in and create a little bit of a I guess, well, we always had this bridge area. Now I was thinking Tower Bridge there, but I'm just not too sure if Tower Bridge is going to be there. I think it might not be enough room to put Tower Bridge in, although it would be a scaled down version, but then I still want it to be big and grand. So I'm not too sure if Tower Bridge is going to be there. But what we do is we go ahead and put a quayside in, and that is, that's quite lovely to pop in a lovely quay there. And yeah, basically just kind of get everything ready for the next focal point, and this is what we're going to start to see in the area is some lovely focal points, and things to see as you come in, because don't forget, if you think about guest journey and where they're going, The guests do walk in through the car park. They spawn at the car park, and then the guests after that they go through that kind of little sort of church building. They see a few kind of tanks and boats and things up on stands that might have been used in movies by Thames Valley Studios, and real props, things they can get photos in front of, and that's quite cool. They go through an entrance building which has a slightly postmodern feel to it, and they get into the plaza, which is dominated by the water tank. The next focal point as you go around that guest journey, I guess, would be our Brudler style hotel, and I like the idea of the hotel being close to the car park, somewhat close to the rides, which is fine. We talked about how that works in a realistic world, and yeah, that all kind of just kind of works as a bit of a focal point of view. Of course, my ethos of playing Planet Coaster, and whether you like this or not, this is how it is. And I think a few players play like this, but it's a good little tool to help teach yourself and upskill yourself in Planet Coaster. Is I like to take blueprints, whether they be from the game or if they're blueprints of that people have put together on the Steam Workshop. I like to grab those occasionally and just modify them. So I've got some in-game blueprints in there, and I've modified, I think you've got that sort of white palacey looking Tunisian looking palace, that's in there. And of course what we did is we modified that scale wise, and that was kind of cool. So yeah, anyway, I'm spending a bit of time on this quayside wall here, and basically just getting some things together. But I think you can actually see, I think I might actually change the redness of this. It's a very red quayside wall. I don't mind that. I don't want things to be too drab, but we are getting this ready to put a focal point right in there as well, so you can see some of the planting that's going on there. But yeah, I don't mind the idea of red being in there as well. If we have this slight British thing to it, red does feature in there, and that is quite cool. We do have the British troops in there, so I'm thinking that they will be. I will have the British troops guarding something at some point. That could be quite cool. But we are getting into a pirate-themed area here, just as a bit of a first entry to the themed area. And I guess what we're trying to do here is show some docksides. I'm trying to show a little bit inspired by the old Charles Dickens London, that kind of Charles Dickens style London set in his books. You're talking about those sort of ships at quay with buildings in the background and silhouettes like that. So you can see here I've placed one of the slightly modified pirate ships or sailing ships, and we're just putting in some of the other standard in-game pirate themed props here. And I do start to implement sand in a moment as well, but you'll just see this come together at the end of the speed build. We'll jump into a real-time version and we'll just have a bit of a look through, and we'll see about how this is. Another thing that I've decided to do is, well, again, this is kind of been watching a lot of City Skylines, and Planet Coaster City Skylines, a bit of a crossover there. Look, even Voxel Tycoon, we get a crossover with the same issue, that if you don't plan your transport, then you can be in trouble. So of course, after building, I would say 10% of the park, but moving through, I mean, we are at episode 6 here, so we're moving through. We've done quite a bit of building. We're certainly filling in the corner that we're in, the corner of the park that we're in. We're fitting that back in. And what did I do? I was like, I want a transport ride. Now, do I want a steam train? Do I want a monorail? I think both of those work. But what I've decided to do at the moment is have the used as a transport ride. So I want it to work as a transport ride. I want it to primarily take people from parts of the park to other parts of the park and use it to transport around. That's its primary objective. But secondary objective as well is just to also give people a studio tour. So I've used the studio tour, and of course, by the way, I'm building an outdoor pirate cafe here, and Planet Coaster was being all lovely with its with the paths and the placements and the right angles and the axes, and yeah, we're getting there though. So I think we basically in this section I find a workable kind of footprint, and then I kind of just see what I could do there. But yeah, you can see here's me just cursing in the background trying to get it all up and running, but you'll see the end product does look a little bit better. Just trying to make decisions here about where I'm going to put things. So yes, I do use the as a transport ride, I use the studio tour vehicle, and I think I'm going to change the colours to have the bit of the British theme back into it a little bit. I think we can keep putting bits of Britain in, and if it's too much we can scale it back a little bit, but I think that might be a nice way to do that, nice and clean, to do a red, white and blue, a Union Jack kind of colour scheme. Bearing in mind red, white and blue is a little bit of American flag happening there, but I think it'll be quite clear what's going on. So yeah, anyway, later on in this episode you will see that I place our transport ride, and I guess the idea is that I'm not going to have now these are great, by the way. Look at these lovely pirate sort of, and I don't put them on every table, but yeah, little ships for tables, and then just these ones, they just add an extra element, so they're quite cool. And again, my idea is to base build it in the episode and then really detail it out a little bit more in my spare time, so we come back to it, you see some more finished areas, but I want to show you my process of how I put it together. But yeah, I keep coming back, getting distracted, but talking about this transport ride. The idea is to not have a studio tour, but for the actual theme park to be more of a studio tour itself. So I like the idea of that. I like the idea of the transport ride is something you get on and get off, but as it's not just a monorail that gets you from here to here and you get to see bits of the park and talk about which parts you haven't been to. It's also, oh wow, that was the prop from here, or that was the setting over there for that movie. So I think that's kind of nice. I think it serves the purpose, and I think that's cool. Yeah, don't forget to smash the like button, please. That would be absolutely lovely. And yeah, please subscribe if you haven't done so already to Stitch Up. On Stitch Up, of course, we do play Planet Coaster as you're watching, but we also play Voxel Tycoon. Thank you very much. We love Voxel Tycoon. Much more updates happening at the moment, and we'll be getting back into a brand new series of Voxel Tycoon very soon, actually. So that's going to be fantastic. I'm just working out which sort of map, theme, biome, which mods I want to include in my new series. And doing some testing of some very specific game-changing mods that I am trying to work out whether I want to keep them in scope for this series or slightly out. But yeah, it's all coming together. What else? Oh, we play Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's been happening, and of course, the latest obsession for the last, well, a long time actually, is Factorio. Absolutely brilliant, love Factorio. So if you do like Factorio, check out my latest series. I just completed the game for the first time ever. I'd never done that. Doing some testing of a modded Factorio series as well, so that's kind of cool. But we'll see whether or not I end up doing a series on the channel on that one. Do let me know in the comments if you'd like to see any of that or not. Yeah, we can see here the Pirate Cafe is just kind of coming along. Don't forget as well, when you're playing Planet Coaster, it's great to grab a whole lot of props, and when you're going through the scenery, rather than building your cafe and go, okay, I need a fence, so you go into the pirate thing and have a look at that, or you might look at other non-pirate ones that might suit it as well, which is also quite good. But don't forget, another good thing to do is to go in before you start your building and just grab a whole lot of props and grab a whole lot of pieces of wood or whatever it is, and just put them somewhere. And you can always come back to those. You can still go back and grab other stuff or bespoke or change it or chop it or put placeholders. But it's also nice just to grab a whole set of props to get you thinking about what you're going to build. I think that kind of works. So yeah, that's just my little thought for the day. And of course, if you have OCD and you are looking at the way I join these fences together, then try not to have a complete conniption, because I mean I was looking at it thinking, but you really got to triage what you need to worry about. So sometimes these little curved bits will be on top of each other, and other times they won't. And again, I'm trying to fit it with the size, the footprint of the restaurant, which is a path. Basically, it's one giant plaza, and you know, that's how we do a restaurant. We use a plaza, we join it all together, we keep a bit of planting in the middle because it's all nice, and of course I'm just going to spam a million pirate kind of things in there as well. You do see our wall from episode 1. Our wall is in there as well. I love that bespoke wall. It took us a while to build, but I do like it, and I think the walls come up quite nice. Going around the park and just separating, you know, car park and well, I guess separating here where you've got the lovely coaster as well. So I don't mind that. Now here is our much anticipated sort of planning for retrofitting in a transport ride. You know, lucky I didn't take well, I think they all probably take about the same sort of angle of curves anyway, but lucky I didn't use the steam train. I mean, I probably could have used the steam train, and I would have liked to have built a giant, really big station, and that could have been really cool, to do like a St. Pancras station or something like that, but we don't. Yeah, we don't. We at the moment we're using the Studio Tours ride. So yeah, when we go into the free play, we'll have a bit of a look at this. I had thought about the idea of, and here I'm just trying to get some leveling going on. But of course, I had thought about the idea of getting. I'm just kind of looking on screen because it was a few weeks ago when I put this down actually, and it's only now that I've gone back to do the commentary. But yeah, I'm sort of thinking, does it go clockwise or anti-clockwise? Does it head out from here, or is it returning to here? You know, is it you know, which way is it going? What I end up doing is facing it towards the right of the screen as we're looking at it, kind of nowish and curving around, and then having it line up with this bridge, and that kind of ends up just working quite well, because what it enables me to do is future-proof in case I want to put in a tower bridge, because I've got a large pedestrian bridge there, but what I can also do is go ahead and you know, add this in, incorporate it as part of tower bridge. The way I would do that is I'd probably have a footpath on one side, you know, and I'd probably have the guests going through the middle section of the bridge, and then use where the footpath is in the real tower bridge. I'd use that for the transport ride. So that could be sort of one way of doing it. You know, if we ever bring a steam train into it, we've got the other footpath on the other side, so if we decide to do that, and of course, you know, this is early days for the transport ride. I think I'm sticking with it, but if not, I've got basically got the floor plan of where the transport ride is to swap it out for the steam train or monorail, but I don't think so, because monorail sits up above really. I think steam train at grade is great because, you know, you get to put little walk over bridges, people get to see it at grade. Not seeing it, you know, below is okay. A steam train sitting up above people is not brilliant for any sort of realism, but yeah, you can see here. So what I've done for the purposes of testing the game, or testing the ride and getting it to work in just these areas, is just use some placeholder tracks. And I do sort of change things even after I built this. I kind of just change things a little bit here, but what I'm trying to do here is create a little bit of a tunnel that sort of comes along quite nicely, sort of comes along there, you know, but it's kind of open, but it's not open. Again, this is the last part of the ride. This is the return, so this will be a little land around here. There'll be something happening around this area, and I have an idea to kind of build a bit more of another hotel up in the hills, possibly Greek themed hotel, inspired by my recent travels to Greece. So yeah, there's that, and that area over there could lend itself to that. Of course, adding in heights and mountains and terrain variation is really going to work for creating a valley, and that's great. Now, I definitely decided that we had this kind of main promenade street, and everything so far that we've built is not on the, you know, Isle of Dogs. I'm using air quotes here, but let's say Isle of Dogs. But everything we're kind of seeing there is nothing is built yet. So I need to really think about the focal points and things like that. Everything else is on the shores that look onto. So I'm very protective over this kind of run, this visual run, looking directly across this first bridge, and so I want the transport ride to get to the other side. I want it to go around the park, and yeah, it's going to have lots of picking up and stopping, and maybe 5 or 6 stations all up. But I wanted to get to the other side of the path, and this is a very convoluted way of me doing so. But what we end up doing is changing this and putting it underground and keeping the path at grade, because I do see there that the path isn't looking so good when it's so wide. And the bridge looking like that, but it's not the end of the world, and I could go back to having that like that. But yeah, we do go back now and put it underground, and it's a bit of a process to do that. So what is next for this part of the series? And this part, well, I guess what's going to happen now is, yeah, I think I'm going to start to, you know, create some other areas. We'll create some more kind of some more rides. We've got to think about focal points. You know, I'm thinking about a bit of a temple on a kind of plateau. Thinking about that to happen. So yeah, there's different things that is going to happen. And one thing I do like the idea of is that this transport ride is, I like the idea that it's snaking and then it goes up hills. So I do like the idea of kind of Jacob's ladder curving back and forth to get some height. Pathing in a tunnel situation for me was grim. I think my knowledge of the game is just, I just don't do a lot of pathing in tunnels, and it's just it's pretty grim. I'm not even sure why I left it in the time lapse here. I probably should have just left this out and just cut this bit. But do put up with me while I get it under here. We do get it into a nice kind of workable sort of spot, and yeah, that's going to be great. I must remember as well, this is the theme park, but the idea of this theme park is that it is a working studio, hence the somewhat semi-retired sound stages over there, which will most likely have a ride in them. But in addition to that, you know, the idea of this theme park is that they will close it over certain periods and make films and set up for films, and people get to see a working theme park. So yeah, now a lot of these paths at the moment for this transport ride are just placeholders, but the idea is to get it roughly down and roughly working. And then of course you can just chop and change, can't you? But I've got it for the purpose of it. I've got a bit of a circuit, well, 100% circuit going on, and we close out that circuit just so it can run on some tests and things. With my previous series, my Christmas sort of series, I did like to open the park in certain kind of sections and finish a section and make it complete, and basically be able to open the park when I think I've got enough of this and this. And I think we're getting to the point at the moment, I mean, everything is looking towards the Isle of Dogs area, but we are getting to the point where, you know, you could essentially open phase 1 of this park. Yeah, we are kind of getting to that, but do let me know if you'd like to see, or what you'd like to see, what other sort of areas. I kind of want to do a downtown skyscraper area, and I think that'll work for the Isle of Dogs side of things. Visually, I think you'll get that, and I want to possibly look at some skyscraper architectural building style creation, and I would like your input in that as well, to sort of see, is there any buildings you'd like us to try and recreate in here. And I won't be building the gherkin, I can tell you that much. I will not be building the gherkin in Planet Coaster. Well, I don't think I will, unless I have a massive increase in skills. But yeah, we're going to jump into the live section shortly, and we'll have a look and see how this has gone. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the speed build part of this episode. But yeah, let's have a quick fly around and see just a bit more of a deep dive into some of the changes that have happened here in episode 6. So let's take guest journey from the start as we discussed during that. And you can see here, of course, we've got our lovely look at our lovely car park. This is where we started off, and this is what I was talking about at the start of that sort of speed build. If you do look here, and of course there will need to be more fencing going on, but if you do look here, you know, looking at it from ground level, it's great to see it like that, and it doesn't look too big. It just looks, I mean, it certainly covers these guys here, and they come out, and I like that. I like the way you can see through, but it's just, you know, only half of it. But then you can see through the wooden coaster here, and you can see the other buildings there. I like that, both for the guests who are arriving and looking through this lovely gap there. That is not an accident, that is a viewpoint that I want people to see, but also guests who are staying in the lovely hotel as well, and they get to see different things at the back of the hotel, and that's part of it, is to look around and see the park at sunset when the guests are starting to leave, and you've got the place to yourselves. So yeah, we come through here, you've got the guest journey going through this bit and into here. I have jumped in and opened the park up so we can get some guests in here. We can see their fed up little faces, and also just cap the number to 1,000 people. So that's a nice viewpoint there too, isn't it? And if you do look over here as well, you know, I wish more people would walk over here, but I guess we could put a little thing for them to stand over here and look at. But yeah, this is quite nice because you've got this Isle of Dogs section, but then you're looking over to the new section. Of course, you need to be over there to see it in its fullness, but you can kind of see the bridge here, and of course the centerpiece bridge here is going to be good. You've got the lift hill and the rest of the coaster kind of hidden through there as well, so it is quite nice. Following the guest journey as well, we've all seen all this. There's nothing really changed here, but you know what did change, and if I could just get the camera going correctly, what did change here is this focal point here. You just jump into a different camera mode here and see if I can, yeah, that's better, jump into the T camera mode and see if we can do this. If we get the right height, which I think we are, and these guests here, you can see here the two ships, which I do like that. I think that's great. Hang on, I'm not brilliant with it. Really am not good with this sort of stuff. But yeah, you can see these two ships, which is excellent. I do like to be able to fly out over the top as well. These ships here, and what I like about this, you know, in the guest journey throughout this whole section, is this one's in the water, but this one's been pulled up here. But I like the realism that, you know, it's been pulled up onto the sand via this. Now, of course, it's a theme park; that wouldn't be the case. But what we're trying to see is, you know, this kind of dry dock experience, and it's sitting up there on the stilts. And I guess I like that the guests can, you know, really get their photos taken with all that, and it'd be great. Coming across to our main restaurant here, of course, you've got this nice section here. No one is using anything at the moment, so I don't know what's going on. Are these open? These are not open, are they? Well, hang on, let's just see about this. Is this lantern chain? Lantern chain. Well, we got any of these places? Stationary. Lantern chain. That's that, isn't it? We don't want that. We want the actual shop. So let me see about here. What's the hitbox going on here with these shops? Right, I don't know what's happening, but let me do that. Here we go. No vendor available. Right, okay, should we do that? Should we hire some people that get this place actually going as well? I think we should. We should do that. So if I go staff and I go, we've got vendors. Can I put like a few vendors in, please? So just drop like 1, 2, 3, say 4. Okay, that should be good. There's 4 vendors there, and we'll worry about all that. Now I have turned off, like, you know, vomit and all this sort of stuff. So, oh geez, look at that. Now as we do that, these people have started to go into the restaurant because they're showing us open now, so that's all pretty good. Okay, so oh god, man. All right, let's have a look here. Now, of course, this is something I didn't show you in the rest of the build. Of course, we've got the off-the-rails train there, and I like that. This is kind of, you know, the new disaster meets the, you know, the old part of the pirate part of the theme park. But this building here, I really like. I like the idea of scaffolding going up a bit of a a grade scaffolding going up, and it's a work in progress. But I do like the idea of that. The sort of it goes either side of the path, and that's kind of cool. What is this? A barrel bin? These why are they doing that? We'll have to get some maintenance people. I don't know what's happened. They've fallen over due to not being emptied. So we'll need to put in some janitors as well. I don't think we've got any of this. Let's get a couple of mechanics. Let's get a couple of janitors, and I don't really want any of that stuff. Let's get a security guard as well, and just see about all that. So yeah, they should be able to fix a bit of this. We shouldn't have too much of an issue. Okay, this is nice. Yeah, so you can see here, this is where our lovely little vehicles go. They certainly come around this way, swing around. I think that's lovely. I like the idea of them swinging around. They get into the bridge aspect of it, and everything else is to be confirmed. So that is lovely. So this is where I'm going to leave the episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've made some changes to what we did and started in episode 5. Look at this lovely area over here. This is great. This is all ready to be flooded. We can put some lovely dark ride over here. We can do a boat ride if we want as well. I like the idea of the boat ride, incorporating into, incorporating the part of this lovely this lovely area here into the boat ride would be fantastic, because you've already got the natural sort of Thames River from the Thames Valley, so that'll be fantastic as well. So yeah, I think that could be a really good visual thing to happen. We'll certainly be doing that. You can actually do that with some locks here. We could have some boats going through locks as well, and find a nice way of doing that as well, but we'll see about that. Please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe to Stitch Up. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Planet Coaster. This is my Thames Valley Studios series, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.